क्या हुआ, क्या पूछ रहे?
In his 22 plus years in IT, he has successfully managed a number of large applications for a variety of domains. It is his vision and farsightedness that has made Infovision Labs to be known amongst the peers as one of the fastest growing startups of India. Let's move to our next speaker. We have Dr. Ajay Sankhe. So I have known Dr. Ajay Sankhe for over a year now. He's director and founder of Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Institute, which is a not-for-profit multi-specialty NABH accredited hospital and is committed to integrated holistic healthcare practice, community service, education and research. The hospital is a project of Sri Chaitanya Seva Trust, which is rendering various community initiatives for the welfare of the rural and tribal population, largely in 3 districts, Thane, Palghar and Mathura. The hospital has been serving people from almost 2 decades now and has been recommended by Ajay Piramal of Piramal Enterprises and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam as a go-to hospital in the region. One of Dr. Ajay's and his team's recent achievements was of facilitating or launching 20 ICUs and isolation centers in a record time of 13 days for Bharat Ratna Bhim Singh Joshi Hospital, Mirabai Indar. So the ICU center has been built as per international standards. Welcome, Dr. Ajay Sankhe. Welcome to the panel discussion. Then we have Dr. Kushagra. He is from Australia. He's a BAMS, DY, GDM, MBA, and is a globally renowned and accredited Ayurvedic practitioner with over more than a decade of clinical practice in Australia. He has touched many lives, thousands of patients cured, and he's still going strong. He just told us that he's got a lovely office and welcoming more people to get cured. Then we have welcome Dr. Kushagra. Then we have Rafia. Rafia Sultana. Rafia is a motivational keynote speaker and executive life coach. She helps professionals to accelerate growth by realigning their perspective to their desired goals. She helps them stay productive by building emotional resilience during change and uncertainty. She was awarded Asia's most talented coaching leader in 2019, one-on-one most fabulous training and development leader, Women Super Achiever Award, and the 7th World HRD Congress in 2020. Then welcome Rafia. Then certainly I have told you about Vinay. So guys, let's move to the next section right now. And I think that the pain point is currently the lack of oxygen, which is creating a lot of havoc in the country. So let's move to Dr. Ajay Sankhe and understand what are the challenges that he's facing, because I believe he's seeing patients for over a year now. So Dr. Ajay, kindly enlighten us, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ganesh, and thank you, Vinay. And it's my great pleasure to be with all of you again. So I'll just give you some figures which are taken directly from the websites and the official data banks, you can say, from India, so that we are on the current status of what's happening in India and from the area where I am, that is in Maharashtra. So as of now, the current status is like this. Total cured or discharged patients as of today are 1.69 crores. They are discharged. They are all right now. I'm just taking the positive side first. So these many people have already gone home.
Okay.
This is total. And of course, right now, active cases are about 3 crore 4,87,000. These are active cases. death toll in yesterday, as per yesterday, is 3780, and in Maharashtra it is 891. Of course, in the second wave, which just started somewhere around end of February, the number of cases are huge. The second wave is huge, much more than the first wave, almost double the first wave as of April. In US, the second wave was 3 times, X to 3X. In India, it is X to 2X. But another good side of it is, in India, last time, the first wave, we had a death rate of almost 3 to 3.06%. As of now, even though the number of deaths are higher because of the large number of population,
Okay.
death rate is 1.09% as of today, which is one of the best rates in the world. So overall, I would say, in spite of the second wave, which has hit us very hard, and that's how the waves generally hit us, even in the previous pandemic of Spanish flu in 1918, it also came in waves. And the waves come because it's a war. It's war between the human population and the viral population. So viruses, they step back and then they come back in the bigger force. So that's how you can, in a simplistic way, you can understand this. And a third wave is likely as per the government's understanding. Another interesting phenomenon which has occurred in the second wave is that the younger generation has started getting affected. The population shift is from the older generation, which was considered very high risk. It has come to the younger population. And now small children are getting affected. Also, there is another phenomenon called as the cluster infection. That means if one person in the family or in a small community like a housing society gets infected, very soon you will find that the whole cluster gets infected. So the infectivity is very high, or the R0 factor is higher this time. So this is also taken from the directly from the government websites. As far as the second wave is concerned, now the urban areas are settling down. Like Mumbai is already settling down. We went to the peak, and by mid-May we are expecting that will be very definitely going down very well. Now,
Okay.
the increasing trend is seen in the semi-urban and the rural population. So these are the, you can say, figures and facts as of today in India.
Okay.
As far as the challenges are concerned, we have oxygen challenge and remdesivir challenge and uh, infrastructure challenge.
Okay.
So naturally, the remdesivir challenge is still existing, but quite a few of scientific communities, doctors, clinical research has shown that remdesivir doesn't alter the ultimate outcome of a patient. It definitely reduces the viral load, but it is not the drug or a magic drug. So, but we are dealing with it. It's a big challenge right now, the unavailability of remdesivir. Then the oxygen. Of course, in north, like Delhi and other places, it's a bigger challenge as compared to the south. Like in Mumbai, practically there is no oxygen challenge as of today. So, because in Mumbai and places like metropolis cities like this, they are generally, the infrastructure is already robust, so they can somehow manage it. But where it is not, naturally it can be a big challenge because oxygen is a key medicine in treating corona. It's a key medicine. So it is a great challenge, and the government and the NGOs and the private institutes, all of them are working hand in hand. As far as the impact on the psychological health of the population, yes, because of the second wave, of course, the second wave also came because of the factors like, the what is called as a pandemic fatigue of the population. The people, they just are so tired or bored of staying inside, complete lockdown for several months, losing jobs, and the children just coming out and now playing, and the social gatherings. It's like so they are they don't want to accept that this can cause a problem. They just want to be free.
Correct.
And because of that,
so probably we can.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm bothering you or cutting you in between. I
Yeah.
just wanted to also reach out to Australia and Singapore and see what's the COVID scene there, and then we move to the next level of understanding how we can manage trauma. So,
so
is
you
it
want
okay
me
or?
to stop here and then come back again? What is
Yeah,
your...
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll get back to you. Give me a minute.
Sure.
So probably we'll move to Rafia and ask her how are things in Singapore and how is it that we are managing COVID.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Yeah.
So we have been COVID-free until last week, like 10 days back. We have been quite fortunate to be safe here. The Singapore government has been vigilant right from the beginning. They have taken all the steps, and even the citizens of Singapore also like equally vigilant to participate and make it happen. So we were safe until last week, but last 1 week, we are experiencing like 14 plus cases. Otherwise, so far, like we are. But even for this 14 cases, Singapore government already started to start this social distancing measure. And we are expecting from after 8th of May, it will be a little bit more tighter than how it used to be. But we are still need to wear masks. We are wearing masks. We are still following all the social distancing measures, even after we were just 1 week before. So yeah, this is the situation here.
Yeah. Okay. I can see Dr. Kushagra being very complacent. I believe there's some good news from your country.
Yeah, thank you, Ganesh. First of all, for inviting me as a guest speaker here, and thank you, Vinay, Dr. Shanke, and Rafia, and all of you. I come from Melbourne, and that's a Victoria state. So initially, we had lots of cases in Victoria, that's a state in Australia, than any other states in Australia. But then the government actually took a very harsh step initially, and they put lockdown, curfew, and many more things in September and October when we had a second wave already. Then after that, the cases got reduced down. As well, Rafia said, it's similar like a Singapore. People are following the instructions of government that they are doing social distancing. Anyways, Australia has so less population than India, so I can believe that could be happening here easily. So that's one thing. But yeah, masks were there. Now, later on, I want to mention one thing which Victorian government actually did over here is when we had just 2 or 3 cases, we just noticed that we got 2 or 3 cases from zero. They actually put a chain breaker of 5 days curfew. So 5 days, suddenly they declare that lockdown and they put the night curfew completely. Many people were upset in that time on government because obviously everything was fine and they were saying that, oh, just 2 cases and why you are putting the curfew and lockdown. But that actually worked very well, and many other countries and governments actually following their footsteps now, and they are doing the similar thing. I think the Maharashtra had in between some similar like that. So that chain break actually came from the Victorian government. So Premier Daniel Andrew did that here, and then it got followed everywhere in the world. So at the moment, New Zealand and Australia are pretty much, we can say, we are COVID free. We don't need to wear mask anywhere because we don't have any COVID cases. But the other thing is that there are very much restriction on the international border. So people cannot come to Australia. If they want to, then there are very high restrictions. So in that case, the chances to get spread over here is very less at the moment.
Okay. Thank you, Kushagra, for that update. Now let's move to Vinay. Vinay is currently in Pune, certainly the same state as Dr. Ajay is, but probably he can give some highlights for the city.
Well, Ganesh, thank you. First of all, very good evening to everybody in India. And well, there are a lot of stories that we keep hearing, right? The conundrum itself indicates that there is a chaos, there is a confusion around the situation that we are all dealing with. One of the things that we have seen is when social media gets abuzz with some of these news items, common man does not know which one to believe. And that's what starts causing all the confusion. People start believing some of the items that they see on the WhatsApp, they see in the news, they see in the papers, and think that that is the reality. But what we have seen here, we have been dealing with a very different situation in this case. There is a second strain that has come in, which is causing a little bit of a chaotic situation for many of the people. We have seen our own employees getting impacted. As of today, if you look at Pune has almost 8.8 lakh confirmed cases. However, the recovery is very high. There's almost 7.6 lakh people have recovered. If you look at how many people have got the second dose of vaccination administered, almost 2.4% of the population have got administered with the second dose of the vaccination, and first dose almost at 11%. So these are very encouraging.
Okay.
Very encouraging. And the trend, if you look at the Maharashtra trend itself, it was at a peak, I think 2-3 days ago, it was at a peak. And slowly it has started declining. It is showing a decline trend. And there is also a good surge of vaccination centers that have come up. There's a better supply today. And moreover, what we have also seen is the support structure around the family has improved tremendously. I can talk about from IVL perspective, where everyone are acting like a family member. They are supporting, they are giving, they are going out of their way to talk to the employees, making sure that they get the mental support that they need, and all the help has been extended. So the situation is slowly improving, but it is still a little chaotic.
Okay, thanks, Vinay. So probably you began with there's too much of information floating around, and whom to believe and what to trust in is a big question mark. So I believe this webinar is the answer to that question. So here we have experts coming in from different parts of the world who can empower us, give us information right from their own experiences. So Dr. Ajay, coming back to you, you have been interacting with COVID patients, and you find that there's some kind of understanding that you're building on a fact that it's going to be chaotic and it's very difficult to manage such kind of patient walk-ins. So how are you coping up with their mental well-being, and what's your take on that?
Okay, so
this is going to be beyond science.
Yeah, see, one is that how I cope up, but before coping up, I need to know what is the quantum of the problem. So we, being healthcare workers, we are right in the middle of the whole thing. And as Vinay correctly said, India is a very resilient country. The culture itself is like that we immediately come together to face any calamity. So naturally, not only the family members, but many NGOs and many corporate houses, they come forward. They are ready to help. Like right now, because of oxygen supply, there is an issue. So immediately, I just get a call from outside. I have not even approached those people, and they're saying, "We want to help you to put one more oxygen tank so that you don't come in difficulty." And it's already on the way. Like they have paid for it. So like that, there are very good experiences which are happening. But I want to tell the exact quantum of problem as far as the psychological impact of corona is. So this I am reading it directly from Indian Journal of Psychiatry. So you can see that about 2/5 of the population, whatever the sample population they took, 38.2% had anxiety, and 10.5% of the participants had depression. So 10% means out of 100, 10 people are depressed. Overall, 40.5% of the participants had either anxiety or depression. Moderate level stress was reported by about 3/4, that is 74.1% of the participants. And another 71 just reported as poor feeling of well-being. So there is anxiety going on all around us because of this. And there are reasons behind this. Because now every family, you will find somebody who's affected. and somebody has been lost at a very young age. So as I told you, the age group has shifted from the older to the younger population. And we have ourselves as healthcare workers, we have lost quite a few young doctors. Now, see somebody who's on the forefront and we lose him, that has a much bigger impact than any XYZ common person. Of course, for the common person, the family gets impacted. But when a healthcare workers or some leader is affected, it affects the morale of the society. So that is what is happening. And one of the reasons is, of course, the stress which is caused by the fear of corona. So, as I said, actually we should promote the good side of the whole thing. That is, in this current pandemic of second wave, the death rate has come down. What was 3.05 or something, it is 1.09 today. So it is a good news. We should spread that good news. Second, the good news is that those who are vaccinated, they come home. Like I give the example of ex-Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he's 86. He was vaccinated, both the doses, and he came back home. So in spite of being in a very, very high risk zone, he has come back. So these are the things which need to be sort of promoted on social media, and not only the horrendous and very dangerous stories and how people are dying in the streets, etc., which are also facts. I'm not denying that. Just maybe 2 weeks back, we had a waiting list of 50 patients waiting for oxygen bed. And as healthcare workers, we have to simply say no. ICU bed, no. So, I keep on saying no, no. So telling no is also a sort of a stressful kind of a situation for healthcare workers. So to cope up with this, we definitely have a counseling line. Like Bhaktivedanta Hospital has a few people who are assigned this job, these 2 numbers, they are constantly ringing and people are taking counseling on how to deal with everything. So not only that, many of the societies and many of the NGOs, they have formed their own task forces, and we have been guiding some of those task forces on what to do exactly when someone near and dear one for you gets affected. So that is what we are trying to do. A lot of spiritual counseling and understanding the meaning of all this, because spirituality is basically about going deeper and understanding the meaning of life and death. So that kind of counseling is also being provided by the Bhaktivedanta Hospital. So these are my few thoughts, but I will try to come in later again.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ajay. So we move to Rafia. Can you unmute yourself, Rafia? Yeah.
Hi.
So this is extremely important for all of us here to understand on how we can achieve the equilibrium that's required to manage the anxiety. So your take, please.
Okay, thank you for this question, Ganesh. As just now, as he shared, the statistics of anxiety in depression, it's going really high because of the pandemic. And I think this is the time we need to realize that mental wellness or mental health is not just an option, but it is a priority, especially in this unprecedented times of pandemic. So there was this Harvard study of adult development. I think this is probably the longest study that is conducted by Harvard, and it was for 75 years. Over the span of 75 years, I think this was probably the longest adult development study, and they revealed that close relationships more than money or fame are what keeps people happy. How this anxiety or depression starts? It starts just with one negative thought. It's all about how we are managing our emotions when we are under these negative cycles. It just starts with one thought. And what you're doing with just one single thought will decide whether or not you will be happy in your upcoming days. So to me, mental wellness is the quality of the relationship with yourself, and also the quality of the relationship with the people around you, your family members, your colleagues, or everyone around you, because as human beings, we tend to leave these emotional blueprints, emotional imprints with every other person that we are interacting. And that equally depends on how you manage your emotions, because that's what reflects with others. So now here, talking of the quality of relationships. So how we build that quality of relationship with yourself first, and then comes to the others. And the key is awareness, self-awareness, awareness about your personal emotions, how you're managing your emotions, but not suppressing them. And whether or not your thoughts are fed, as doctors shared about that, media at times is sharing more of the negative part and impact of the pandemic than the positivity. So the negativity can come from any resource, from your personal negative self-talk, because of, as we know, there every home and every heart and every part of this world have the story of the loss, and everyone have got lost. I mean, even I lost my family members. I know how it feels. And as a mother myself, I know how it feels when our children have to go through, especially in this phase, to this pain, and it's really painful. But does it mean that by staying in this cycles of negativity, are we going to help ourselves, or are we going to help our family members? No, definitely not. There has to be some steps that we need to take consciously, so that not only we can help ourselves, but also help each and every member around us, maybe the family or your friends or colleagues or your team members. I think it's very important for us to be self-aware about our emotions, how we are managing, but not suppressing it.
Okay. Thanks, Rafia. Quite helpful, and yeah, I completely agree. It's important that you need to be vigilant and understand and accept whatever is happening around us. So let's move to Vinay. Vinay has been interacting with so many employees from across states. So what's your take? How is it that Infovision Labs is managing this particular aspect of COVID?
Well, Ganesh, there are different challenges because everybody is working from home and they are not in a single city. They're all distributed across India today. And that adds to the complexities of what we can do and how we can help every employee. What we have done today is we have set up a task force. There is an admin team, there is an HR team, and a lot of volunteers who have come forward to help the employees too. So they're all part of a task force who get informed about any of the cases that are happening within the company. The moment we come to know that there is somebody who is infected, one of these task force members immediately calls them up to see what kind of help is required. And this task force is available almost 24/7, I would say. And I think every team member is very responsive. We understand what kind of empathy is required to deal with this situation. At this time, it is more to do with providing that mental support. We understand we may be far away from the physical location of an employee, but it is the support that is required. We make sure that we call the local contact that we may be knowing and what kind of help can be extended to the employees. That's what we are doing today, which is working out to a great extent because every employee gets that mental support and know that, okay, there's an organization which is trying to help us. They're trying to take care of it. So that's how we are managing it right now. A lot of help is pouring in from the employee base.
Great. So moving back to Dr. Ajay, I think what has really impacted our life and is important in today's times is transformation. And I would want to address a particular fact that you have installed ICU in record breaking time, which is like 20 isolation centers and ICU units. So what do you think the healthcare system needs to adopt as far as technology is concerned? And then I'll move to Vinay for further additions on that particular aspect. So healthcare and technology, what's your take on it, doctor?
Okay, so the technology aspect right now is restricted to things like ventilators, etc., and say maybe the parameters which are required in the ICU. But beyond that, and of course, in extreme cases, something called as ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, where the lungs are completely fired and then you require ECMO for several days. It's a very costly affair and not available everywhere. So this is the technology part of the medical side. But beyond that, simple things actually work.
Okay.
And the most important thing is the doctor's involvement in a very, see, the doctors themselves were in the first phase, were so scared, many of them, because 1/3 of the mortality was doctors and healthcare workers. Of all the people who died, 1/3 were doctors and healthcare workers. So naturally, they are family people. They are very scared of their own families. So not many people were coming forward. The data clearly suggests that out of two, one will be sort of depressed or anxious. It's so high in the healthcare workers. And females, it is 65%. They cannot even sleep. They have insomnia. These are all statistics from the journals, which I'm quoting. So actually, the more than technology, it is the manpower, the expert manpower who knows how to deal with patients of corona and giving them confidence. What worked with us in the beginning when we set up the ICU is that our doctors started going inside and actually talking and touching the patient because they were not even touched in the beginning. All consultation was also happening on the video. That okay, you take this, you take this. No one is touching them. So imagine the impact of somebody not even bothering to touch you. So later on, we also have a very interesting human phenomenon that all those people who were sort of, you can say, ostracized from the community and in a one ward of say 50 people. Now, today also, many of them are, they have formed their own WhatsApp groups and they are like a very well bonded community of patients who were alone and they had, the only support they had is the next bed corona patient. No one else. So all these things, the technology is like the spiritual or the, you can say the emotional technology, which is very important right now. The techniques of, basically giving them that inner support to cope up with their own emotions. And as Rafia said that, that has to be handled very well. And if that is handled well, the positive feeling itself is a immunity booster. Just like good sleep is an immunity booster, good positive feeling is also immunity booster. And a negative feeling is a killing of immunity. Your immunity goes down. In a stressful situation, you catch diseases, viral diseases. That is what I would like to share.
Okay. So I move to Vinay, and here I would want to call him Dr. Vinay as far as technology is concerned. He's into this IT business for last 20 years and comes with rich experience. So I believe I was reading something, Vinay, which clearly mentions that this is beyond science. And certainly, I'm coming out of the hospital now on the streets and trying to understand how technology actually can empower and be of a benefit to citizens. So one of the technologies that you've recently launched is EasyServe, right? As in, if yes, I might be right.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be helpful for all of us to understand how is it that EasyServe is managing the COVID situation. Can you enlighten us, please?
Sure, Ganesh, sure. See, EasyServe is basically one of our housing society management solutions. So what we have done is, in the given situation, there are a lot of people who are entering and exiting out of the housing society. It's very, very important for the societies to know whether the person coming in, is it impacted with COVID or not. So that's where we have introduced a solution of identifying the temperatures, capturing that information into the system, and whoever is the host, they're getting informed about the quality of the person walking in. So they come to know that, okay, the person who is coming to the door, they're safe. So those are some of the things that have been done. And also we're introducing a feature where an individual within the society can also declare that I'm safe, I'm vaccinated, I'm quarantined, thereby letting the entire society know at a touch of a button that, okay, there is somebody who we need to take care of it, because the support is required for such families too, right? And at the same time, the society management also can realize, hey, we need to understand that there is an impact within the society and how do we manage it. So those are some of the features that we have implemented from a technology perspective, and it is definitely helping us.
Okay. Any more good news for the citizens, as in some more tracing? Probably countries like Singapore and Australia have won or traced maximum COVID patients because they had a technology in place. your take on it, please?
Yeah, typically what happens is our adoption of technology in the country is not to the level of any of the advanced countries. And one thing that has changed for a positive thing, we should not be using positive in the current situation, but what has changed in the country is everybody has become very tech savvy. Yeah, the children who did not know how to use Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Meets, they are all attending the classes, right? And the teachers who did not know how to use the same technologies and deliver a lecture over internet, they are able to use all those technologies. That is a very good start for the country, and it helps us to build better technology solutions for the future. If you look at any of the advanced countries, we can easily track what is the vaccination, where is the where are the areas where we should not be going. We are currently working with one of the agencies here to build a data analytics solution which provides an information about what are the areas where the government needs to focus on.
Okay.
So there is a lot of technology help that can be derived for addressing many such items.
This is purely for COVID management, is it?
This is in the area of COVID management. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Vinay. So, Rafia, coming back to you, what we need to understand is yes, doctor.
One, because there is some interesting question on the chat box. So
Okay.
I want to give a very specific message because it can save lives.
Okay.
Okay, so very specific message about when Corona has come now, everyone has become a doctor and everyone is giving advice and ye karke dekho and wo karke dekho, and this will cure you 100%, etc. And one of them is definitely the pranayam. You know, how pranayam increases your nitrogen, this, that. So many videos we see. I want to give a very, very important direct evidence to what should not be done. So post-COVID, whatever pranayam you want to do it pre-COVID. Don't do it post-COVID. Post-COVID, refrain from pranayam. Because we have, at least I have seen 2 cases right in front of me. And one of them, we were discharging him. And this is a young person who was continuously asking him, when will you send me home? Nothing is wrong with me. But we knew his CT scan was bad.
Okay.
And ultimately one day he says, tell him, okay, you go home, but make sure that you don't get into your yoga and everything immediately. Slowly you will go to that place. But right on the bed of hospital, when he was discharged, he has a discharge file in his hand. Right there, till the billing and other formalities are being done, he starts doing his pranayama because he was restless, young chap. And in front of our eyes, he collapsed because by his kapal bhati, where you force the air, his fragile lung actually gave way and he became something called as, he developed pneumothorax. And immediately collapsed and we had to take him to ICU and another 10 days stay. Another person who was at home, who is my personal friend, he is a yoga freak, like that. Throughout his life he did yoga. So he suffered from corona. And our common friend spoke to him the previous night. Next day or next morning they were supposed to meet. And early morning we get a message that while doing yoga and pranayam, he just collapsed and died.
Okay.
Same. Just he went into pranayam.
Okay.
And right there at home, he just collapsed. And by the time he was taken to the ambulance also, he died. Because again, his lungs ruptured. So this is a very important message I want to give, that do not go into pranayam exercises, so deep breathing exercises beyond your limits, because in pranayam you have to do sometimes something more than what you can generally be able to do.
Okay.
So that's the important message.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Ajay. Yeah. So probably we'll take more questions towards the end of the session, and continuing to mental therapy. Rafia, do you have something to share with us on the techniques that we can adopt? And certainly these techniques are for people like me, at the same time something that employees of InfoVision Labs can take home.
Thank you, Ganesh. It's a very interesting question, and I want to especially thank Dr. Vinay for sharing this tip, because I think it's very useful, especially as we all know, what kind of miracles breathing can do, because I also practice breathing exercises and yoga. It definitely helps us. But as doctor mentioned, it's very important to understand the boundaries of what to do, what not to do, rather than using, I mean, if you're not certified, if you're not licensed to tell to others or even to apply on yourself, be very careful before applying any technique. Make sure that the techniques or the all the tips that you're receiving is from the right source, which is equally important, because we all are going through this very sensitive phase of pandemic. Everyone has to be very careful, and thank you so much for that. So coming back to the techniques, I got the opportunity, I got the opportunity to work with teams and leaders, and also most of the frontliners who happen to be the doctors in my work, especially in last 1.5 years. I have been consistently working with them to help them to reduce the anxiety and the depression levels, which is causing insomnia and other mental health issues. So as we know, everyone are different, everyone are going through different levels of stress. But as I mentioned, it all starts with one negative thought, and how we are managing that negative thought decides whether or not you could be happy in your tomorrow or day after tomorrow, in upcoming days. So when I got this opportunity to pursue my masters of NLP from London, I learned this amazing technique, which is pretty much life-changing, and I pretty much share with all my clients. Of course, I try to twist it based on their requirement at that moment. But I can share it at a generic level, which is E plus R equals O. The equation says E plus R equals O. E is any event which happens in our life. And as humans, we do not have the control of time. We cannot decide what is going to happen the next minute. We can plan it, we can do everything it takes to execute it, but we cannot control the time. And we cannot control the nature, because as human beings, we have these limitations. So the element E is not in our control. E plus R. R is the way you respond or react to that event. It could be any event, big or small. O is the outcome, which is the sum of event and response, outcome. So now, outcome is dependent on event and the response. Event is not in our control. Outcome is not fully in our control. But this R is our true power. R is the way you react to any event that happens to you. And if we learn this skill, if you really want to be well, and if we really want to manage our emotions well in such a way that we are always in control and in control of our emotions, and if we are always in calm and positive state of mind, we need to learn this art of responding but not reacting. As it always, there's life is all about 90% how you react to it, and 10%, only 10% what actually happens to us. If 90% is how we react, I mean, that means we are good news. The good news is we are in control of 90% of bringing positive outcome, because E plus R equals O. So no matter what happens in our life, if we hone the skill of responding to that event, we can turn any negative event into a positive event. At least positive, as much as it will not impact your mental health, where you will not get into the cycles of negativity because that's what eventually leads you through this process of anxiety, depression, and many other mental ailments. So I have been sharing these techniques, which is very effective, and responding is nothing but positive results. So to make sure your mind is calm, and that process starts once you step out of your frame of negativity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. That's quite an insight. Dr. Kushagra, we come to you because you're practicing heritage medicine, and Ayurveda is something that people are looking at. There have been many incidences across the globe where people were talking about Ayurveda being an important aspect for COVID treatments or even building your immunity. Can you throw some light on how we as citizens could benefit out of Ayurveda? And probably Dr. Ajay Sanke, feel free to add to the information, because certainly you guys are experts, and what we seek from you is more information and guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with Ayurveda, start with the very first sutra in Ayurveda. They say swasthasya swasthya rakshanam aturasya vyadhi parimokshanam. Means that whoever is swasthya, means whoever is healthy, Ayurveda try to aim him healthy, and whoever is ill, we try to cure them. So that's the first ever sutra given in Ayurveda. And that is the uniqueness of Ayurveda, where healthy people can stay healthy. Because most of the time now we know that we go to any doctors, anything, if we get some problem, if we have some problems, then only we go. But Ayurveda is actually beyond that. And now Dr. Shankhi said, as 70% people having poor well-being, 38.2 having anxiety, 10% depressed. So all that, as well as we have here mental health experts sitting in COVID session. So all this indicating to the mental health as well and COVID relation. So there is another sutra in Ayurveda, which is the Vishado Roga Vardhananam. Means the fear actually increases your disease. Then that can be anything. You can call it COVID, it can be COVID, it can be cancer, or it can be any diseases. So that always increases with the fear. So that's, first of all, I tell everybody that you should be optimist. You should take many positive things from it. And like what I take positive from this is many people actually started noticing how they should live a life now. They come to know the importance of oxygen. Half of people up to age of 40, they forgot that they are actually breathing oxygen and they are living. Now they come to know, oh, oxygen is very important. So those things are very important, which Ayurveda actually tell, like breathing oxygen. And I'll come on the point where Sir said about the pranayama and then pneumothorax and all those things. So that is too correct, because even we suggest every patient that when you do pranayama, doesn't matter you do it means when they come to us, even they are healthy, we suggest them to go through a proper guidance. You cannot just see somebody is doing pranayama and start doing it. And as a Kapalbhati, it is very advanced pranayama. Pranayama is a part of yoga, and then people don't do yam, niyam, asana, pran, pratyahar, dhyan, and then you directly start about pranayama. So you need to go through the process first. Everything has a process. So those processes should be followed. Then the pranayama is good. I'll add another thing on it. But people who are actually healthy, they should go on that in proper guidance, because pranayama and yoga, why they got highlighted so much in the world, I'll quickly tell that as well, because that increases the life expectancy. In human body, the chromosome has a cap called telomere. And this telomere, so there was a research done in University of California in 70s, and they find it out actually, the telomere, if you have a bigger cap, the telomere's length is higher, then your life expectancy is higher. If you have a shorter cap of telomere, then your life expectancy is less. Then they did the study on yoga and pranayama, and they find it out that if you do regular yoga and pranayama in your life, then your telomere length actually increases. It means that your life expectancy is increasing. So that was the basic study conducted for yoga and pranayama in University of California. And from them, it got much populated in US and all other countries. And now we know that yoga is everywhere in the world, and it is going on. But yes, it is completely not acceptable just doing it by yourself. You have to have a guidance, proper guidance for it. That was one thing. And then I need to add a few things in Ayurvedic way, where there are 5-6 things which Ayurveda tells you, and that is important to boost your immunity, for anti-aging, means rejuvenation in your body, and everything. So to keep you swasthya is Brahme Murte Uttishte, means you should wake up early before sunrise. Now you watch any business videos, they tell us these things. So every business, Robin Sharma wrote a book, 5 a.m. Club. So that's what told in Ayurveda as well, Brahme Murte Uttishta. People are telling to increase their wealth. but we tell to increase your health. Then there is
Okay.
another one, which is a Laghavam Karma Samarthyam, which is you should do exercise every day. The measurements are completely wrong nowadays. People tell that I did gym for 1 hour. That is a wrong measurement. You should tell I did exercise for 300 days out of 365 days. Your measurement should be a day, not like how much you do. So we always measure intensity. Intensity doesn't matter in many things. Consistency matter. Even if you do 5 minutes, good. You should do that. I'm not talking all this when you have a COVID or you are suffering from the symptoms. I'm talking when you don't have them or post-COVID things. And another one we say is a tanmana bhojana gataha. Means whenever you eat, you should eat that with a pleasant mind. Now that can be Ayurvedic medicine, modern medicine, Chinese medicine, or homeopathic, or anything which you eat, even your food. You should take everything with a pleasant mind, that having a consideration that this is going to help me, this is going to help in my body, I am going to get cured, I'm going to be healthy. And when we have that kind of factor, then you actually see a good result with anything. If you have a conflict mindset that, oh, if I take a vaccine and it is not going to work, then you may see those symptoms definitely, because your mind makes your body doesn't make your mind. And this is proven by a modern science now. So in that case, you have to be very punctual and very, you have that inside mindset that everything is good and it is good for me. And when you take that, then that's good. So those things Ayurveda focus more. If we talk about the actual immunity boosters, there are many now. Ayush Ministry actually they provided one Ayush Kadha as well. There are many medicines. I won't go into the Ayurvedic medicines because it is
Okay.
complete individual
Individual,
thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we can,
Prescribe.
yeah, it is individual part. So I won't be going into the medicine part. But as you all know, the Indian diet is too much rich in health culture. So turmeric, we use that. When I practice in Australia, people come to me and ask me that, do you sell turmeric? And we use that in our daily food. Why? Because it's highly antioxidant. What is antioxidant? It provides lots of oxygen to your blood, your body cells. So you eat that every day. So stick to your basic diet. Stick to all this diet which is already not modified, and it is authenticate Indian diet from wherever you are. So all those
Okay.
things we should work on, the basic things.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Kushagra. I'll try my level best to get up before sunrise tomorrow. But I believe Vinay is from the 5 AM club. Once he told me that he's his early riser. So that's great. Dr. Ajay, you have anything to add? Because we have been getting questions now on various aspects. So one of them
I will
was,
just speak about. I'm not an Ayurvedic doctor, but I have
certainly not.
I have
No,
a lot
no,
of
I
respect
was,
for Ayurveda.
yeah.
Because we have an integrated approach in Bhaktivedanta Hospital. We have all pathies: homeopathy, Ayurveda, acupuncture, acupressure, naturopathy. All pathies are working under one roof. So that approach we are keeping in Bhaktivedanta Hospital.
Okay.
We have used one medicine which is a research product of Bhaktivedanta Hospital and IIT Mumbai, and one more Sarveshwar Sanstha. It is called as Ayurkoro 3, and it has amazing results. What we have seen, actually, it's a proper registered research which we have conducted, and the research is showing that whoever takes Ayurkoro as an adjuvant, which has basically Panchagava and some herbs together, and just one day, 3 doses. That's all, nothing more than that. And the recovery is faster by double. Like if you are supposed to recover in 10 days, you will recover in 5 days. And simple things like taste and smell, some of them they have experienced that within 24 hours it comes back. Those who have a lot of, say, feeling of mucus and heavy chest, they get their chest clear in the next 2 days. Recovery rate is much higher. So we are using it, and we are actually promoting it to many people for prevention as well. And we have our own friend circle, almost 3,000 people we have so far treated with this for prevention also. And many of them, when they became sick, none of them went to the ICU. So preventing people from going to ICU, none of the people have died so far in all our studies. And we have studied quite a large number. The research population was small, about one group was 120 patients and another was 174 patients.
Okay.
But another was general population, which is thousands of people. Right now, we have distributed to about 50,000 people so far.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a medicine. Like anyone is interested, you can connect with the hospital, and I can provide that. And we are actually giving it to population for prevention, because right now prevention is more important than actually once you go to the ICU, it is a very dangerous situation. It's life
Correct.
and
Correct.
that's all I
So,
would.
okay, thanks. So going back to Vinay, moving from 5 people team to 800 people team, you have seen a huge transition, and now COVID and post-COVID. So you're talking about post-COVID, but it seems that COVID is still with us. So the post-COVID recovery is a big question mark. What is it that you would want to highlight as far as the employee engagements, or how can you give a synopsis of how Dr. Ajay Sankhe's inputs and Rafia's and Kushagra's can be implemented in making the journey more wonderful with InfoVision Labs as well as for other employees across the globe? Your
Sure,
take,
Ganesh.
please.
Yeah. So I think Dr. Ajay, Dr. Kushagra, and Rafia provided a very good inputs on how to stay healthy. Prevention is always better than cure. Everybody knows that. One of the things that I believe in is building an immunity through regular exercise is one of the practices everybody should do. With work from home, what has happened is, especially in IT sector, we are stuck to a chair most of the time. We just need to make sure that we are taking breaks. I personally, what I do is I get up early in the morning. I make sure that I do my exercise at least for 1 hour, which involves a specific number of calories to be burnt. And also I measure the heart rate and all those things. So there are specific things that I do to make sure that we stay healthy. And I would definitely request everybody to do that. We are conducting some wellness sessions for the employees, which are being planned by the HR team. Hopefully that will also help. As some of the questions here that have come in asking for, okay, what will happen? What is it that we need to do after COVID or before COVID, right? Whenever somebody gets affected with the COVID, we have been telling every employee to take rest. Taking a rest when they are impacted is very, very important. And don't just believe in what is there in the social media or what you hear in the WhatsApp. You have to go to the experts to understand what exactly is the right thing to do. So that is something that we have been telling everybody. There's a lot of communication around that too. Post-COVID, I believe this is a passing phase. As the curve is decreasing and we are seeing there is a step up in the vaccination drives, there is a step up in the amount of medicines that are coming in also. So we also have to realize as a country, we are 137 crore population. Okay, that's a huge population. It is almost, if we combine the entire United States, plus all the countries in the Europe, plus Argentina and Brazil, that is when it becomes India. So whatever we are trying to do at a country level, whatever the plan, whoever is planning to save the country and make sure that the medicine reaches, the vaccination happens to the entire country, we all need to give them a chance to understand that, yes, they are dealing with all these countries put together in one place. So there is a challenge with everybody, and I think we have to support wherever we can and make this a success. And we have to see the success coming out of this.
Okay. Thanks, Vinay. There's a question that is posted by I don't know the name, but the person is asking about vaccination. When is it that employees will get the vaccine? But probably it's with the government that
I can answer that. I can answer that question quickly.
Okay.
There are
Okay.
a lot of logistics and there are a lot of formalities that needs to be done in order to set up a vaccination center in one place. And the other thing that we also found out is since all the employees are distributed, it is very difficult for us to conduct a vaccination drive in one place too. So what we thought is it's better that everybody goes to the nearest place where the vaccination drives are happening. That's the best thing. When we spoke to the government agencies also, they suggested there is no other way but to go into cowin.in and then register from there and go to the nearest place. So given the supply and demand, the recommendation is that we go through the common portal that the government has set up for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vinay. Dr. Ajay, there are questions coming to you on Ayur Coro 3. So you have provided the website. So there are a few people who would be interested in trying out this new age medicine. We have some more questions.
I want to just add something there. It is not a medicine, it's an adjuvant to the existing therapy.
Okay.
So we have, because it can be in future research for a solo effect. But right now we have every time tried it with the standard treatment protocols which are already going on. And in that what we see is that the people who take Ayur Coro 3, they recover at double the speed. And the death rate and the ICU progression rate is very low.
Okay. Thanks for that. So I think we have more than an hour that we are together. Let's have our passing thoughts. So we begin with Dr. Ajay Sankhe. Anything that you want to share with people? Probably, I think there are many questions coming in. So Dr. Ajay, I would request you if you can help us with some helpline number where people can call and reach out to you, because I believe Bhaktivedanta has started vaccination as well in the hospital. But certainly the state is different, the cities are different. But if you can enlighten us on that particular
aspect. You can go to the website of Bhaktivedanta Hospital. It is available. All the numbers, vaccination portals, everything will be available. As far as the treatment protocols which are going on, whatever suits you the best and what is available in your locality, I think that is most important. Get vaccinated, and the natural vaccine is your own immunity. Sleep well, take less stress. Means it is something very easy to say take less stress. But at the same time, we must know how to look at so many positive things happening in our life. Like day before yesterday, I was just, we were overwhelmed by so many cases that day. And I was going back and a driver was next to me and I said, let's thank God that we are still alive. So, which is a fact.
Yeah.
We are happy that we are alive. There are so many things to be happy about. Why should we continuously think about, oh, this will happen, that will happen? Because
True.
this way or that way, everyone has to die someday. There's no doubt about it. Do your duties properly, as the Gita says. Karmanyavadhikarasya mahaleshu kadachana. Just do your duty properly. And while just be happy that you're able to do your duty. Don't worry about what gain you will get. And that will make you peaceful and happy, and you can sleep well. And sleep in time. The corporates, like Vinay has a corporate section. So that one thing, again, I want to give a message there. The people who work in corporates, they generally are people who sleep late, generally, most of them. And remember that it's a common sense thing. Actually, I tell my all patients when they come repeatedly with viral infections, I tell them, what is your sleeping habit? So most of them will sleep at around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So but I sleep 8 hours. I said, that doesn't matter. The universe has a biological clock. It's a clock. So our bodies are designed with the universal clock that when the sun rises, you are supposed to rise up just before the sun. And when the sun goes down, you're supposed to sleep. And that's how the body is designed. The immune system gets you can say rejuvenated during the night. The immunoglobulins, the modern science will tell you, the immunoglobulins levels, they get replenished during those times of say 9 to 5 and get you waking up Brahma Muhurta by sleeping early. So these are some simple healthy habits. Of course, whatever breathing exercise, pranayam pre-COVID, you should do it. Eat well, eat fresh. And most important is do not worry, do not get scared of this corona. Take it as a challenge and live your life in a way that Gita advises. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu karmanyeva. And you will be successful.
Thanks, doctor.
Thank you.
I just want to add a little bit with onwards with what Dr. Shankesar said. That stress, it's easy to tell everybody that don't take it, but because I work with some corporate and Ayurveda in that sector, and I do some leadership public speaking as well through Ayurveda. So I want to tell here to every one of you that especially stress, this is on a stress, that if you actually categorize your stress, then there is a 20% stress, which you tells everybody. I'm stressed because of financially, my boss is this, or my work is this, or family issues, husband, wife, whatever. That's usually 20%. 80% stress actually in a small bits and pieces. Which clothes should I wear? I'm running late. What means what time should I catch my bus? Or many things which are like your day-to-day things. So if you plan your day, 1 day ahead, or even in a morning, just sit 5 minutes in a normal position, where in a comfortable position. Don't do as a meditation, but just plan your day, and you will see that your stress level goes down, because you know what to wear, when to go, how to go, etc. And especially working from home, then that creates more stress, because you can't really plan your day, because you think that I can do my homeworks as well, and I can do my job as well together, which will never happen. So you have to give some part to your job whenever it is, and then you have to plan accordingly to the home things. So if you do all those things, then you can able to cope up that 20% easily. So that's a factor to plan your day. And then other things, like as everybody is saying now, and I'm really happy with this. I'm taking one positive thing with this corona, as now every pathy is talking on one part. Like everybody is agreed with get up early. Everybody agreed with sleep and immunity, positivity. This is what mental health is much. There are lots of funding all over the world going on that. Then, as Vinay said, he believes in exercise. All that given 5,000 years back, it just maybe this corona was there to again give us that heads up. And I think the next generation we should see, not just here. So obviously something positive is happening for other people who are coming in future. So I think that positivity we should have less stress because of that.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Kushagra. Yes, Rafia, please tell me. Yeah. Please.
Dr. Kushagra mentioned, as he mentioned, like, of course, how we manage stress, and it is not an overnight thing, it's a process. And we have to go through this step-by-step process. But when we do not have much time, because I have been working in this space of leadership with leaders and teams, and what I usually observe during my coaching sessions is like there is this lack of trust and empathy when it comes to teams. Within the team, they don't have the trust and empathy, which is the basis to build the positive relationships at workspace. And for the leaders, they are struggling to motivate their teams, because they themselves have this stress level so high that they could not be able to manage their emotions well. And at times they come out as aggressive and bossy. That in turn impacts the morale of the team. So it's true that it is difficult especially when everything is happening around with all the lack of trust. So I just wanted to share a quick tip, at least. I know that it's a step-by-step process, but if you want to break the cycle of negativity, especially in times of uncertainty and change, I call it a 3-step process of step out, show up, and step up. Step out of your frame of negativity with acceptance, because as Einstein says, we cannot find solutions. We all want solutions now. We all want solutions, but we cannot find solutions with the negative mindset. So we need to do something to change our mindsets, shift our mind, focus from problems to possibilities and negativity to positivity. So how we can do that? We can start this process with acceptance. Accept things, events, and people in your life as it is, because it will save your energy. And second comes, and you can use forgiveness, gratitude to let go. So it's a whole new process in itself. Second one, show up with empathy, because as we know, in the end, all that matters is how we care for each other, but not how we compete, especially in this unprecedented times of COVID.
Okay.
So, and third step is step up with, we must realize that we must accept this fact that we are much more than our pains, failures, past baggage, and everything that we are going through now. Our purpose is much higher than that. If we get to know what is a bigger picture, what is our purpose in life, everything becomes easy to pick yourself back from no matter what happens in your life. So show up, step up with confidence, step up with clarity, confidence, and courage. Clarity of what are your strengths and weaknesses,
Okay.
where you can improve, and confidence to face your fears and negative self-talk, sabotaging behavioral patterns, and courage to pick yourself up after you fail and fall and move on. That's what can bring for sustainable results, and it can at least help you to step out from this frame of negativity, where you can see the solutions with much more clarity. So
Okay.
this is
Thanks.
add.
Thanks, Rafia. We move to Vinay now. Vinay, your thoughts, please.
Well, it's been a very good conversation with Dr. Ajay, Dr. Kushagra, and Rafia. We learned a lot about how to take care of ourselves, what are some good things that we need to be looking forward to. I think it's very, very important that when we, as Dr. Ajay said, we are in the corporate world, we sleep late, we get up late, and all those things, which is partially true to the kind of work that we are serving the global customers, which makes us go into these various roles. I think it is very, very important for us to not believe in rumors. It's very, very important for us to take time out to talk to each other, especially now that we are in the four walls working all the day in a work from home environment. We have to make sure that we are reaching out to individuals, we are building that bonding that is required. Otherwise, when we would be in the office, we'd have just walked over to our friends and would have talked. So we have to create that environment virtually. I mean, 1 year has taught us that how do we bond in a virtual environment. Today, the borders are gone. I mean, I can set up a Zoom call like this and see the other person on a video call and establish a connection today. So I think we should probably use this as a medium to connect with more people. And as Dr. Kushagra was talking about stress, when human interaction is very, very important in our life. There's a way that we can do a WhatsApp chatting, but that doesn't give us the same kind of a satisfaction when you talk to an individual face to face. So I would definitely recommend everybody to use the opportunity to talk over a video, establish that human connect, spend some time going out, breathe some fresh air. And it's very, very important to stay safe. Take care of your family, friends. That's the first thing. It's not necessarily that,
True.
oh, the work is there, I need to finish that work. No, take care of yourself first.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Vinay, for your inputs. So I would like to end this session, but certainly with an announcement where Rafia and me, we were having a chat yesterday, and she said that she would want to, extend some kind of association with the doctors community and the corporate side. So Rafia, would you like to announce it?
Hi, Ganesh. Thank you. Yeah, considering the fact that what India is going through since being in this, being a professional in this working space of mental well-being and emotional well-being, since I have already worked with many medical practitioners and I know what kind of stress they have been going through, because they are the frontliners and we are sitting at home, we could see through news, but these are the people who experience those deep emotions and they have to live with this. Not only that, they have to be productive, highly productive, no matter what happens. So there is no window for these medical practitioners to manage their emotions. So that's where I want to come forward and extend my help to these medical practitioners especially, if they have any anxiety issues, if they have issues in managing their emotions. I know there's a lot of baggage they carry and they come to work with that. So I want them to be with a calm mind so that they can contribute more to treat more patients with a more calm mind. So I want to contribute and extend my area of expertise to help them with these mental wellness issues.
Yeah, so probably I will thanks Rafia for that offer, and on behalf of Dr. Ajay Sankhe, probably is busy giving free consultation to some of the participants here, because one of them is just out of quarantine and inquiring whether she's normal, whether as in, so doctors will always be busy whether you get them online or offline. So I would like to accept this offer on behalf of Dr. Ajay Sankhe, because it looks to be extremely busy right now.
I want to work with the senior leaders, because I know how going through with the losses that they are incurring and the many issues which they are facing in organizations, but they don't have the window because they are consistently working hard. Even they are supporting the team members, they're supporting the organization, they're supporting the higher management. They also do not have the window to manage their emotions. So if there are any senior leaders, C-suite leaders, if they have this issue to manage their emotions, they need to deal with this anger or stress level issues, I would be happy to contribute my skills to them so that they can work better and they can add more value to their organizations.
Yeah, Sultan, I'll keep it in mind. Maybe I'll get in contact with you through Ganesh.
Yeah. And probably Vinay, I will also connect you with Rafia. She will be happy to extend some kind of analysis, and her forte is into calming people's mind. So probably there might be some kind of connect which will be helpful for all of us. So guys, it's more than an hour and we had a wonderful session, and I believe Dr. Sankhe is continuously busy interacting with people, because this is beyond Chai with Vinay. This is for the whole community that's at stake right now. Being in Singapore or being in Australia, things have been different for each and everyone, but back in India, it is looking a little challenging for now. So really thankful that you could take time out. Dr. Ajay Sankhe, I have shared the email address of the hospital with the participants. Kushagra, I have also shared the website of your clinic, and Rafi, I have shared your FB link, and certainly IVL website is also been shared with all the participants. We hope that we don't meet again, as in I'd shared this particular thing even in our earlier COVID Conundrum Part 1, where Dr. Ajay Sankhe along with doctors from London and Singapore were present. We had a minister joining in from Malaysia as well that time, and I'd urged and I pray that we should not have such kind of discussion again, but it seems that after a year we are still having it and we are still facing a lot of challenges. So hopefully we are able to create that kind of bond, homie, help each other, and make sure that we empower people around us. And extremely thank you everyone, as in it has been extremely delightful to chat with you. Certainly the topic is much more deeper. We will need more time to get to the roots of it, but for now, stay put, stay at home, and stay safe. Thank you, Dr. Ajay, Rafia, Kushagra, and Vinay, and thanks Chai with Vinay, a wonderful concept where we come together, we share our worries, and feel a little rejuvenated, as Dr. Kushagra said. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
For this support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vinay.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
It was lovely meeting all of you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
A lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, participants. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.